Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the breakdown video for the John Ryder versus Jaime Munguia clash, the Super Middleweight Clash that takes place on Saturday, January 27th in the main event of a DAZN card. Before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this fight right here between Munguia and Ryder is a big one in the super middleweight division. Really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. Really good matchup. But in my normal breakdown videos, when it's a non-title fight like this one is, it's the same breakdown. We discuss what the fight means across the board and all that, but then we get into each fighter individually. And in a contenders bout like this, it's about the A side and the B side first. So the A side would be Munguia, the B side Ryder. We'll discuss it in that order. Same things on both them. What have they done coming in? And I ask the same questions. Then at the end, the final two is it better for boxing if one or the other wins? And then the final thing is my prediction on the fight. So this fight has a lot of moving pieces to it. I mean, it means a lot. The winner, they're going in different directions, because Jaime Munguia has the ultimate opportunity to get in line for Canelo. Canelo has stated that he wants a softer touch in May, prior to a bigger fight with David Benavidez in September. That's the projection that people think for Canelo. Well, Jaime Munguia is viewed as that quote-unquote softer touch, with also like Jamal Charlo in the mix right there. So a lot of people, myself included, feel it's going to be one of those two fighters, but Munguia has to get through Ryder first. And I really think Munguia can do that for himself if he can knock Ryder out, especially, or beat him convincingly. But either way, I think he has a good opportunity, if he's victorious, of getting in a ring with Canelo. John Ryder, it's just to live another day and get back into the serious mix and get back into big fights at 168. He had his chance at Canelo. He lost, likely won't get another opportunity at Canelo, but a win over Munguia sets him in a very, very positive and good direction moving forward. And that's what he wants. So it's a big fight. It's a good test for both fighters. It's a big test for Munguia to see where he's at, to see how good he really is. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now that he officially moved up to 168 last year, now this is, in my opinion, the toughest test that he's facing going in, for sure. And then John Ryder, it's, what does he have left? At 35, can he still compete at the highest level here and get back in line, or is he going to be the consummate gatekeeper following this fight? We have to see. So let's start with breaking down each fighter. We're going to start with the A side, the undefeated former super middleweight former junior middleweight champion of the world, Jaime Munguia. Munguia, it seems like forever. It's been since 2017, 2018 since he won his first world title. I think he had a 4 or 5 fight title defense streak before officially moving up to middleweight, where he, didn't lose a fight there, but he also didn't face the stiffest competition. His last of the toughest fights that he had at middleweight was against Gabe Rosado back at the end of 2021, where he won a one-sided decision. Looked good, but then he tailed off, and that was actually at the end of 2020, I'm sorry. Then he tailed off in 2021, fighting kind of subpar competition, and staying in, but I mean, I'm sorry, that was 2022. Fighting subpar competition, staying undefeated, and all that. His last 3 fights date back to, I believe it was June of 2022, where he fought Jimmy Kelly, who was a decent middleweight who had pulled off an upset over Kanat Islam, who was an undefeated, guy on the rise. and Munguia destroyed him in only 5 rounds. Then before the end of the year in 2021, he took on, I don't even remember the guy's name, some unknown guy, got a 3rd round knockout in that one and kept pushing forward. And then in 2022, he only had 1 fight. 2023, he only had 1 fight when he took on Sergey Derevyanchenko as he officially moved up to super middleweight. For that fight, he came in a solid favorite in what is a lot of people's fight of the year. Very good back and forth fight. He would score a knockdown in the final round and walk away with a very close unanimous decision in a fight that some people thought he lost. So, you know, Munguia now heading into this fight, it's now or never, really. He's 27 years old. You know, when he won his first world title, he was back around 21, 22 years old. Now, no more excuses. Now, he has to win. He has to show everybody how good he really is. And he's going to do it in this fight. He's the younger fighter. He's the bigger man. He's 6 feet. I think he has a 3-inch height advantage on Ryder, who's 5'9". And he has an 8-year, age advantage. He needs to take advantage of that. And I honestly think him fighting Ryder is him wanting to step up and show the world how good he really is. So I believe he is hungry coming into this one. Now, what does he need to do to win this fight? He needs to use the youth experience, but I don't think he needs to get into an all-out slugfest. He has a very stiff jab. He has the speed and youth advantage, and I think he needs to use that and be okay with this fight going into the deep rounds by taking the older fighter there, but bust him up by boxing and punching. Yes, have your spurts of going after Ryder and slugging it out, but also use the jab. A good stiff jab on a southpaw like Ryder is a smart move. Plus, he's a taller guy. I think he should box and punch, not just slug it out with him. And like I said, have his spurts, his moments of attacking and slugging it out a little bit and throwing his combinations. But I think you need to take a page out of Anthony Joshua's book with Otto Wallen and throw the left hook to keep Ryder in front of him for the right hand down the pipe. If he can do that and use his youth and come in really good shape and be ready for 12, I think he's open to success in this fight. Now, can Jaime Munguia win this fight by knockout? I know Ryder early in his career, I think he might have suffered 1 or 2 knockouts early in his career. But this is a guy that's built for 12. He's been 12 with Canelo and Callum Smith. Munguia, I don't believe, is a stronger puncher, at least at this point, than Canelo. And Callum Smith's a big puncher too, and this guy went the distance with both of them. I think it's going to be tough for him to score the knockout, but I don't think it's impossible. I just think he's going to have to break Ryder down, really beat his body up, and take him into the late rounds, drown him, and stop him late. That's the kind of knockout I think, but I think he's more likely to win a decision. So that's the next question. Can he win a decision? I think he can. I think he can outwork and out-hustle John Ryder to a decision. But Ryder's a gritty, tough guy, but I still think he can pull it out. Now, what does a win mean for Jaime Munguia? I go back and look at Munguia's career, and in terms of what this fight can lead to for him, this is the biggest victory of his career if he pulls it off, even if it's a tight one, because Ryder is considered to be a very legitimate fighter at super middleweight. He's still ranked in the top 5, even after suffering a beatdown against Canelo. That's how good Canelo is, and that's how solid of a resume Ryder has built up for himself. So, it's a huge win for Munguia. Now, what does a loss mean for Munguia? I think a loss hurts Munguia, but he can still go back to the drawing board, if that makes sense. But it really is he's gonna lose that allure, the what if factor, because after watching Ryder against Canelo, we know how good John Ryder is. But do we know how good Jaime Munguia is yet? And if John Ryder beats him, we're going to know how good Jaime Munguia is. You know, his bar is going to be set from there. And I don't think Jaime Munguia wants us to know how good he is yet. So a win, you know, a loss can really devastate Jaime Munguia's career and derail him for sure. Now, we switch over to the underdog, the B-side, John Ryder, and we look at him coming into this fight. Now, John Ryder is a 35-year-old fighter. He's 5'9", giving up a 3-inch reach advantage, 8 years of a age advantage, you know, but he's a gritty, tough-ass fighter. His last 3 fights date back to, I believe it was February of 2022, when he defeated Daniel Jacobs in the biggest victory of his career. He came back in that fight after Jacobs was winning halfway through. He came back and outworked Jacobs in the second half of that fight and pulled off a split decision win. And again, that was the biggest win of his career as he pushed himself really into the serious mix again at 168. Then, next up was Zach Parker later in the year as they fought for the WBO's interim title and mandatory spot, and Ryder walked away with a 5th round TKO win when Parker couldn't continue due to an injury. So that made him the interim champion and the mandatory challenger for Canelo. And his 3rd fight was, you know, the last of his last 3 fights took place in May of last year when he challenged Canelo for the undisputed title in Mexico. And, you know, he just got pummeled in that fight. Canelo was just too good. He beat him up, busted him up, knocked him down a couple times. But John Ryder showed the heart of a warrior, and he got up and he kept coming, and he lost a one-sided 12-round unanimous decision as he made his 2nd attempt at the undisputed title. But Ryder heading into this one, taking on a guy like Munguia, you know, 8 months after Canelo, shows me that he's hungry. You know, that he's still hungry, that he still wants that recognition. He still wants to be a world champion. And he's willing to fight anybody to do it. And I think he matches up well with Munguia based on where Munguia's at in his career. So, you know, Ryder, it's a big one, and he's hungry, and he's ready. I think he's coming to bring it. Now, what kind of fight does Ryder need to have to win this fight? I really think Ryder needs to make this a slugfest. I think he needs to hit the body with the right hook when they get close. That needs to be his first punch. Right hook to the body to slow down the younger Munguia, but try to cut the ring off, because I do believe Munguia will try to box. I think he needs to try to cut the ring off and really get in there early and test Munguia's chin, and also get tested, feel Munguia's power. You know, I think that's important. Make it dirty early and then see what he can pull off. But he needs to be in fantastic shape. I think he needs to really be ready to go 12 hard rounds here to pull this one off. And he might be able to be successful. Now, can John Ryder win this fight by knockout? I believe he can. I don't think it's a one-punch type knockout deal, because Munguia can take shots, as we saw against Derevyanchenko. But Ryder's not that kind of fighter anyways. Ryder's one of those grind you down, wear you out type guys. And I think he can win a knockout like that. Not going to be easy, but I do think he can win. Now, can Ryder win a decision? I think he can win a decision. It's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be close if it goes to the scorecards. But I do believe Ryder can win a decision. What does a win mean for John Ryder? I think a win now over Jaime Munguia might even be bigger than the win he had over Jacobs. Jacobs was a fading fighter at the time. He hadn't been in a big-time fight in a while, really since his loss to Canelo. He did fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but that ended poorly. But, you know, Jacobs, I think where he's at and where Munguia's at, it's somewhat equal, but especially since he can derail Munguia's charge to try to be, to try to get in line for Canelo. The fact that he could slow that down would be a big deal for John Ryder. So I think a win would be huge for John Ryder here. What does a loss mean for John Ryder? It definitely hurts him to the point where he's gonna be viewed going forward, if he continues his career, as a gatekeeper. I don't think he would get taken serious as a serious contender for a title if he loses this fight to Munguia. Now, of course, that would depend on how he loses. If he loses a tight, close fight, he might be in the middle of a gatekeeper and a serious contender still. But I still think he gets the opportunities, But if he gets blown away, if he gets worn down and knocked out, he's definitely in gatekeeper mode going forward if he decides to go forward. But I think if he gets beat down in this fight, that might be a swan song. He might say, hey, look, I can't do it anymore. I'm done at 35 years old. So we'll see. But a loss, it hurts, but it depends on what kind of loss in terms of where his star goes, where he goes. So our last two things. First, is it better for boxing if Jaime Munguia wins this fight or if John Ryder wins this fight? And it's better for boxing if Munguia does. Munguia's young, undefeated, Mexican fighter, knockout power, exciting style. It's better for boxing. It is, because again, you'll get to see, it's an intriguing battle, even if it's not the one everybody wants to see. If Munguia gets that shot against Canelo, or even if he doesn't, he'll get a shot at somebody solid next, and people will want to see him fight because they'll be like, well, let's see how good this guy really is. They'll still be asking that question. John Ryder, I think everybody knows how good John Ryder is. I think really in this one is he better than Jaime Munguia? But after that, I don't think there's any illusion that John Ryder would beat David Benavidez, that he would be, obviously he's not going to beat Canelo. So, that's kind of where I land with that, because Ryder's been there, done that. He's lost 6 times in his career. And again, people kind of know where Ryder is to an extent, and I don't think anybody's going to be, it's not that it wouldn't be good for boxing, because Ryder's a good story. He's a tough-ass fighter, and he'll live to fight another day, and that's intriguing. But it's just not as big as if Munguia wins this fight. Now, my prediction. I really have tossed and turned with this ever since the fight was made. I originally picked Ryder, and I've kind of teetered on the line saying, well, maybe it could go either way. Then I went back to Ryder. But as of now, looking at where Munguia is in his career, deciding to take on this fight, looking at the age, looking at the size advantage for Munguia, I just think we're going to finally see him come out in this fight. Now, I liked the Derevyanchenko fight last year, but I do believe that Munguia overlooked Derevyanchenko because of his age, and also Derevyanchenko moving up, which Munguia did too. But Derevyanchenko, following the Charlo loss, hasn't been taken as serious, even though he gave Carlos Adames a good fight. I think Munguia thought, putting on the extra pounds, that he was just going to blast out Derevyanchenko, and he got way more than he bargained for. I think he's fully focused and knows what's at stake here. I don't think he's going to be looking ahead at Canelo. I just think the fact that Canelo could be next is just making him hungrier. And I think it's going to be a good, tough, hard-fought battle. But I got Jaime Munguia winning a close unanimous decision or a majority or even split decision in this one. I really do think John Ryder's a live underdog. I think he can pull this one out. And I think either one of these guys can wear the other guy down and stop him late. And I think it's going to be a firefight. I think it will be a fight of the year candidate. But I do think it goes to a decision. It will be a close decision. And I'm giving it to Jaime Munguia by a close decision in this one, as he will remain undefeated. But I am not 150. I am not confident in that pick all the way. I really have tossed and turned, and I really do believe that John Ryder can beat Jaime Munguia. But I just think Jaime Munguia is going to find it. He's going to step up in this one. He knows what's at stake, and I think he's going to pull this one out. But it's going to be interesting to see what goes down Saturday, January 27th on DAZN. This is the Munguia versus Ryder breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.